Happy Thursday to everybody who's tuning in. We got you on the beautiful and the wonderful station here, radio station here in McAllen, Texas, KCYP, the city, 97.7 FM. Yes, we're also going out on Facebook Live. We're going out on YouTube Live. We're going out on Radio Garden app and the TuneIn radio app. The one that I always forget, but we'll give them an extra plug because I usually forget. It's new, and I'm not all that young. So, TuneIn radio app also. Glad to see you all. Glad to see you wherever we're going out. Glad to see you on video. Glad you can hear me on the radio. We're on the terrestrial 97.7 FM here in McAllen. And glad to be here. We didn't make it last week, but that just means that we missed you more. And here we are. So, once people start coming up, I'll be calling you out on Facebook. And, you know, if we have anybody out there that's interested in doing the electronic stuff, the audio-visual stuff, I'm not the guru, so if maybe I guess we have an opening for a guru. But if you're an audio-visual person, then please, if you'd like to help, you'd like to assist, wow, we could really use somebody to help us out interacting with the people that come in on Facebook and even on YouTube. I'm not sure of their comments, the ability or non-ability of how it is that we can interact on YouTube, but I really think that we'd all benefit from an interaction, and I want to know what you think. So, along those lines, we do have a phone. So the station phone is 956-789-0702. We have Rudy watching the show. Good to see you, Rudy. So, again, the station number 956-789-0702. I'll mention that a little later. Basically, what we have going on today is a lot of things, a lot of stuff. We're going into, hopefully, a spring break that everybody's going to be, hopefully, vacationing for. And if not, well, you know, just go on through and let the kids have their time because, you know, they're going to be vacationing. So, one of the things that is really intriguing me right now is as I get older, the time just seems to pass. It goes so quickly. So it's March already, ladies and gents. It's March. We're talking March 2023. This is amazing to me. So all these things that we've been talking about, and we're coming real close, by the way, to our anniversary here with the Bitcoin Otter Show on KCYP, the city, 97.7 FM out of McAllen. We're coming real close to the, I've got to look it up, the actual anniversary show, whatever that might be. But just want to thank you for watching. We've got Dan on. How you doing, Dan? Good to see you. Good to see you. So, what we're thinking here is we can have some sort of participation thing, but we'll figure out the rest. We still have a few weeks left. But just to think that we've been doing this for almost a year now it's mind-boggling. But I'll tell you what, I've enjoyed every minute of it. I'm really happy being here, reporting things that I think are important for people to know in today's day. I obviously some of you agree when you show up for Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, or even when you don't have the time for the live version, you come back and you watch it again. I'm always getting over 100 views on the Facebook page, so that's interesting. That's great. And excuse me. I don't have all the numbers because the YouTube is Joe's YouTube channel at 97.7 FM. And it's wonderful. I really enjoy it. And thank you. I hope you are all enjoying it also. So, without further ado, we'll get into the usual information that I think we all either want to know or should know. So, where do we start? Well, we start out with money. You might think I'm going to talk about dollars. No, I'm going to talk about gold. So, if you have 1 ounce of gold earlier today I looked at this on the Texas Precious Metals page. A little plug for them. They don't pay me, but they're nice. Anyway, gold, if you have 1 ounce of it, will get you 1,843 Federal Reserve notes. Yeah, so you decide which is better. 1,843 Federal Reserve notes or an ounce of gold for your future, for your family's future, however you might believe you need to prepare. And Rosselli's on. Good to see you. Good to see that you're here. And we are rolling. So gold, as we mentioned, 1843. Now silver. An ounce of that, okay, will get you $21.14. Or vice versa, $21.14 can get you an ounce of silver. So that'd be nice. I think I would rather personally have the silver, but that's me. And then we go into one of my favorites, as you know, Bitcoin. Bitcoin today was going, a little while ago, for $23,443. So I know I've done this before, but there are some new people watching. So what I'd like to say is, when you have prices like these, it's not hard to figure out what asset is worth more. Think of it this way. And the X22 show, head by Dave. Dave does it. Don't ask me his last name. He doesn't want us to know his last name, which is fine. That's cool. Because, you know, he doesn't want to be doxxed or whatever. But Dave at X22 report has it going on. If you're interested in every, you know, aspect of the financial situation, geopolitical, not every aspect, you know what I mean. So X22 reports something good to listen to. But anyway, he has this good analogy. So he says, if you were to bury 1 ounce of gold in, I think it was like 1930, and it was, I think, $31 or 30-some dollars. It was right there. They were tethered pretty tightly. So if you were to bury an ounce of gold in the 1930s, and you were to bury its equivalent in dollars, so $30, $35, whatever it was, and then today you go in the backyard or wherever it was, and you dig it up. You dig up both things. Which would you rather have, right? So as I said earlier, an ounce of gold is going for $1,843 when you buried 30. So you can see which one has increased and decreased in value. Jaime, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Hopefully all is well. I know sometimes on Thursdays you have complications, and we try to work them out. So if so, alert us of that. So here's another thing that came on, I guess, a few weeks ago, about a month ago, I started tracking. And I think it's important to those of us who either are in the position, thankfully enough, to purchase a home, or I suppose those of us who may want to refi, things of that nature. But basically, it's the average mortgage rate. What is the average mortgage rate? Let me tell you here. And, you know, fresh off the press of what? Half an hour ago. So this, according to Forbes Advisor. Sean, good to see you. How you doing? Hopefully all is well. So according to Forbes Advisor, the average 30-year mortgage rate, okay, it's going up, guys. It's over 7. It's 7.13% for your average 30-year mortgage rate. Now that's nationwide. Your average 15-year mortgage rate is 6.29. So if any of you bought a home, you know, within the last 10, maybe even 20 years, we certainly were not used to seeing these kind of numbers. So 30 years at 7.13, 15 years at 6.29. Yeah, Dan's a little surprised. What do you got, Jaime? Okay, Jaime says he's misplaced his hat. So if anybody's around the corner from Jaime, maybe just do a drive-by and throw that hat back at him. I know you like to play with him. He's fun that way, but I guess he's looking for his hat. Yes, so Dan makes a good observation. The car payment. So I'm talking about a mortgage rate, but astutely, he knows basically it's going to be a rate rise in every sector. So if your rates rise in the mortgage sector, naturally they're gonna rise in the automotive sector. You're gonna be paying more for new and especially used cars. The good news is, though, I think that if you hang on, you're gonna see some deals. Sean says check Fausto's for Jaime's hat. We'll have to do that. I bet, you know what? That would be a good place. We'll check Fausto's for Jaime's hat. Jaime, I think that's where you left it. Omar, thanks for the love, brother. Oh, Omar says I remind him of Joe Pesci. A little bit. So, yeah, how am I so funny, Omar? Omar, how? Am I funny? Funny how? So, and now that we got everybody on, well, a bunch of people on, again, 956, this is the station line, 789-0702, that's the station number. So, speaking of mortgage rates, speaking of interest rates, they just seem to be climbing. So, I want to turn you, I already told you about x22.com. I've told you about Bitcoin Ben when you want to learn about Bitcoin and world events, and he throws some history in there too. And here's another one that I love to follow. Okay, and he's always talking about this economic stuff. It's called the Economic Ninja. I use Rumble fairly extensively, so I tune in on Rumble. But he's on YouTube, and he's got his own website. I mean, you can imagine. He's called the Economic Ninja. Okay, so Jaime says he looked there. No luck. So what I'm getting at with these interest rates is this. Economically speaking, we are seeing crunch time. I mentioned earlier, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the Bitcoin Otter Show. I thank you all for tuning in. At the same time, I have to say, well, looking back 1 year till now, I'm as all you Facebook friends and new friends on YouTube and all the others know, I'm no genius, okay? But the things I've been saying for a year are starting to come about. For better and worse, right? I mean, yeah, we're coming together. Most of us are waking up. Many of us are waking up more so than a year ago. But also some of the negative things that I told you I have this burden spiritually to tell people what I'm seeing coming our way. Like, biblically speaking, it's in the role of the watcher on the wall. So I'm standing there looking at these things, and I'm just yelling it out. Pay attention if you'd like. Consider it if you'd like, or don't. That's fine. But these are just the things that I'm seeing, and interest rates play a very strong role in what it is we can and cannot do as citizens here in the U.S. and pretty much everywhere. So yeah, Dan's basically getting on the bandwagon. He's saying they're getting higher and higher. The 30 rates are getting higher. I think I didn't make it last week, and I know for a fact that 2 weeks ago the rate was under 7, and now it's at 7.13. So if anyone's bought a home, you know that each one of those points means a lot of money, right? Especially since mortgage rates, and this is the way I like to remember the word mortgage. Okay, so apparently, and there are other theories on this, but the derivation is from the Latin and the French. Mort being death, gauge being to engage in something, right? So to connect with something, to mesh. So what is a mortgage? A mortgage is an engagement with death, okay? And the banks mean it. That's why they front load these loans, ladies and gents. So when you get your 30-year or your 15-year, your interest rate, your highest interest payments are always in the beginning, because they know that you'll probably sell the home before paying it off, or perhaps it might go into default or something. So they want to protect their investment. And have you ever gotten the impression that they don't care about you, Jaime? Have you ever thought that maybe the bank doesn't care about you or me? Yeah. So Jaime's got a good suggestion there. Why doesn't the government just cancel all of our gambling debt? Right? I mean, they canceled our college debt, and isn't that a huge gamble? I mean, these colleges nowadays, they guarantee you a job coming out. They say you got something viable out there. But you know what? When you study how to change, a man into a woman into a man, and maybe some medieval soil sampling in there, or some liberal arts, when you come out, I don't know that that's viable information for any employer. That's just me. So gambling debts might not be a bad thing to talk about here, Jaime. I mean, what else is the government going to pay for? We're paying for this Yahoo, right? This little dad. I call him the Tiny Dancer, right? With Elton John's song. Because, yes, Zelensky is a dancer. He's an actor. He's a dancer, an exhibitionist. and currently he's in the role of a puppet in Ukraine. So in 2014, in case you guys didn't know, 2014, the usual suspects, okay, from the U.S., NATO, Israel, they overthrew Ukraine in 2014 with the help of that traitorous man named McCain. Anyway, we don't deal with him anymore. So when they overthrew in 2014 Ukraine, it became in my opinion, a playground for crime. You know, human trafficking, money laundering. Oh, here's a good one. Biowarfare labs. The Pentagon so far has admitted to 46 of them. So we know, based on the Pentagon's credibility, there's probably 80 some. You got to double all that Pentagon stuff, or 90 some. Who knows? Hey, Mary's on. Nice to see you, Mary. Jaime gives a shout out to her too. So glad to have you all here. I just wanted to throw this out there. So most of the traffic coming in right now, before we go big, right? We're going to go big, Joe. Joe, you know, we're going to go big, okay? Yeah, we're in a small little station here. By the way, if you ever want to visit us, we're here in the McAllen Creative Incubator. It's the old McAllen Library. So the vast majority of the people that tune in and enjoy and participate in the show are on Facebook. But I have a feeling that this information is going to be wanted, so we'll see if it gets bigger. If not, that's fine too. I'm happy just getting out the word. But what I would like you to know is I know a lot of us have a side hustle, meaning we have a day job, and these are the things we do on the side. Now, I'm not making money doing this, but I know a lot of people do make money doing things with, writing mortgages. They write loans and so forth, or they'll do insurance, or they'll have real estate jobs or whatever. Anyway, if you'd like to sponsor the Bitcoin Otter Show, let me know. We can make it happen so that I'll mention your business here on the air during the Bitcoin Otter Show. And Joe has a program where you will have your business mentioned on 97.7 FM KCYP 24/7 throughout the week. And we can talk about that. Everybody hopefully knows the way you can contact me. The Bitcoin Otter email is bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com. bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com. So get in touch with me. We can put you on as a sponsor. I'll mention you here on the air. Maybe even interview if you'd like. Anytime. Let me know. And Joe can have you on. You'll be on the air 24/7. Yes, Mary's into real estate. And Jaime says, buy dirt. Hey, I'll tell you what, dirt at some point, and depending on how much of it is already now, is going to be worth more than the U.S. Federal Reserve note. Just saying. I'd put a lot on that. So, where do we start out with the news? And I got to start out being Bitcoin Otter. I got to start out with some Bitcoin stuff. And I know not everybody's, really interested in Bitcoin. But I think that's going to change. And you know who can help you out with it? Here I am. When you need it. When you want some help. So, Robert Kiyosaki. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Basically, you guys are all going to know him. He's the guy who wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So, Robert Kiyosaki says, world economy on the verge of collapse, warns of bank runs, frozen savings, and bail-ins. Now, I must reiterate the fact that I am not here to scare anyone. I don't do what I do to scare anyone. What I would like to do is help people get prepared for what I see may be coming. It's not something that's, written in stone, nothing biblical, nothing scriptural about it. Although there's some things that are going on that are very scriptural. Not good, ladies and gents, end times kind of stuff, but perhaps for a different time. But what I'm saying is, I don't want anyone to be afraid, and I'm not trying to scare people into buying this or doing that. That's not my intent. What I would like you to do is think about it. Think about it to hopefully prepare for the future of you and your family if things like the Federal Reserve note get hit hard. And I think it will. But that's just me, right? So when I read these news accounts, I'm reading somebody a lot smarter than me, like, as such, Mr. Robert Kiyosaki is. So, he says he's warning of bank runs, frozen savings, and bail-ins. Well, let's break that down. What's a bank run? A bank run is, one of these days you and I are driving down the road, And we look at all these banks on the side of the road and we're like, wait a minute, there's lines at all these banks. What's going on at all these banks? And we call somebody up, Joe, what's going on at this bank and that bank and this bank? And Joe's going to notify me, hey, Otter, they all want to get their money out. And I might say, well, how's that working? And he'll laugh. He'll laugh because it's not going to work. We are not going to get our money out. So that's a bank run. Frozen savings. What's that? Rich dad, poor dad. Yep. So frozen savings. What are they going to do? They're going to freeze our bank accounts. You don't think they can do that? Well, remember those courageous truckers, those freedom truckers out of Canada during the pandemic? You remember those people? They were protesting against the mandate in Canada that all truckers had to have the vaccine. Okay? So when they were doing that, they were driving from one place to another. I think it was Manitoba to Alberta, or just everybody to Alberta, I think it was. I can't remember. But Fidel Castro's son, Trudeau, their prime minister, he basically froze their bank accounts. So if grandma gave $25 to the freedom truckers via, PayPal or whatever, they tracked her down and froze her bank accounts. So grandma couldn't pay the light bill, couldn't pay her gas bill, couldn't buy groceries because she did a politically incorrect thing. She did it. It's her fault, right? They were forced to freeze her bank accounts. Yeah. Anyway, this is what that very intelligent author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad says. He warns of this, right? Frozen savings. And bail-ins. What are bail-ins? Well, ESG, I'll get on that in a minute, Dan. So what are bail-ins? Oh, so, yeah, Jaime keeps his money in his socks. So if anybody sees Jaime, you know where to go. Just take out his legs. The socks hold all the money. So, bail-ins. What do we got about bail-ins? We have this art now that is going to happen that the government won't steal our money via bailouts of large banks the way they did in 2008. The way they're going to steal our money this time, at least the banks, right, is called bail-in. So you're fortunate enough to have a few $1,000s in the bank. You wake up the next day after the bail-in, you got nothing. Or if you're real lucky, you got maybe 10% of whatever you had. You had 10 grand, you got $1,000 left. Be thankful, right? And that exactly is going to be the scenario when you're driving down the road and you see all the people at the banks that are trying to get their money out, right? Well, these things, again, are not said to scare you. They're just said to have you ready. Prepare yourself. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think there's a possibility there, a strong possibility. But you be the judge of how you want to structure your finances, your investments, for you and your family. So, Kawasaki said on Tuesday that the world economy is on the verge of collapse, warning of several risks that could hurt investors. He tweeted, "World economy on verge of collapse." Makes sense if he thinks it's going to collapse, right? He then urged investors to buy silver. Hey, isn't that what we do here? We urge people to buy silver if you want. You can buy a real silver coin for about $25, he noted, adding that he doesn't make any money when people follow his advice and buy silver coins. Again, we went over that. I don't make any money telling you these things. I don't tell you these things because I make money. I tell you these things because I feel an obligation. The Bitcoin Otter Private Membership Association, of which you can become a member if you so choose, it started out as a cryptocurrency education association where I can teach people how to buy Bitcoin, how to store their Bitcoin securely. I'm not in the business at all of convincing you to buy it. That's all on you. But if you do want to buy it and you want to learn how to do it, that's when you connect with me. So what I'm getting at is the whole entity of this guy, Mr. Robert Kiyosaki, and whatever it is I do, is not incumbent upon you buying these things. It's just a matter of, we would like to put the word out. It's something that, I have a desire to do. This the Bitcoin Otter whole association could just be, as well said, a ministry. I feel that in these times, God's trying to show us different avenues of travel, where it is we can go, where we might go, and we decide. I'm just saying that I think things are going to get tough for families if they're not already. Again, I listened to this show called The Duran, and they're on Locals, and they're on, I think they're on YouTube and Rumble. But these two guys are very intelligent. They talk about the Ukraine thing and the China thing and all that stuff. Very intelligent, the Duran, right? So they're talking, the one guy's located, Alex is located in London. He says there's no eggs. Now, if you're one of the Rothschilds, you're running a bank, I'm sure you're going to get eggs. But for the average person, when you go into the supermarket in London, you're not going to find eggs. They're not there. Fresh vegetables, fruits, they're not there. Okay? And maybe some people here in the U.S. are facing the same types of troubles. And what I'm thinking, and this is just me, these are the beginnings. This is where it starts. And remember, when we're in a recession, the government and the media that they own will never tell us that we're in a recession. When we go into, as President Donald Trump told us, a full-blown depression, when that happens, if that happens, they will not tell us. This is how it's going to go. It'll be something along these lines. Oh, the numbers came in, ladies and gentlemen. We were in a recession last year, but we're not going into a depression. And that's going to be said as we're already in a depression, because they don't want you to know. It doesn't behoove the banks. The banks want to unload everything before the little guys. Make sense, right? So, with all these things going on, this is just a warning, if you will. Something to look at, or not. It's all up to you. So, after urging us to buy silver, which I think is a good idea, Mr. Kiyosaki says, in times of financial crisis, depositors may panic and withdraw their money all at once, which can cause a bank run, and then lead to frozen savings. In addition, if a bank faces the issue of insolvency, it may impose a bail-in, where the bank uses depositors' funds to keep itself afloat. I don't want them using any of our funds to keep them afloat. But at the same time, I'm not saying, hey, take all your money out of the bank. And some people have. I don't know. We're all in this together. We can all, spitball what it is we can, should, will be doing. But I think if we stick to the basic things that we know will not go to zero, I think we'll be okay. And these are them in my mind. Real estate will never go to zero. You get yourself a piece of land, have a home on it or not, doesn't matter. It's not going to go to zero. There will always be some number attached to some currency that someone will give you for that land. Gold will not go to zero. Gold has been a monetary instrument, a store of value, for so long that even the people who call it a barbarous relic, right, those jackals in the central banking system want to get us away from it, so they call it a barbarous relic. You're not going to shame me away from gold. Gold is a good asset, a good investment, in my humble opinion. I'm not a financial advisor, okay? You don't want me, messing with your finances, and Jaime can attest to that. I've never been a bookie, but I'd probably make a bad one at that too. So, real estate, gold, silver. Silver to me is one of the best things that the average investor can hang on to, because it doesn't cost a lot. Like this very intelligent guy said, for about $25, you can get silver. So, connect with me at bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com. I can outlay some of this stuff for you. I'm not going to charge you. This is a way to contact me if you want to talk about this stuff. So, and of course, the name of the show is Bitcoin Otter. And I'm not trying to push you into anything, but I believe that Bitcoin is not only going to be around, it will most definitely not be zero on any scale of any currency. And I see it getting more and more traction with more people, more acceptance, more adoption, which means more value. I think the value is already there. It's inherent. But the price is going to rise, in my opinion, my non-financial advisor opinion, okay? You say, well, why, Otter? Why is this item going to rise? Well, first of all, it's deflationary in nature. It's actually a programmed digital currency, right? Everybody knows it's digital. Oh, you can't see it, you can't touch it. But so are those numbers in your bank account when you do your online or your app banking. Those are just digits on a screen, right? Digital. Very much alike to Bitcoin. So why is Bitcoin going to go up in price and value, potentially, in my opinion? Again, not a financial advisor. Why is this going to happen? I think it's going to happen because we see, one, a pattern through history, but isn't obligated to repeat it. However, what they're doing with this program since 2009, okay, it's been around since 2009, is they've created it to be non-inflationary, deflationary, okay? So in 2024, and here we are in 2023 already, in 2024, they're going to have what's called the halvening. What is the halvening? The halvening is when the Bitcoin program takes the award in Bitcoin given to miners that mine Bitcoin, and they have it. They take it and they cut it in half. Now that means it's going to be more scarce, right? What happens when an asset is going through some sort of scarcity or has an event where it becomes more scarce? It rises in price, it rises in value. Supply and demand, right? So they're going to go down to a lesser amount of Bitcoin for the miners, which means that less Bitcoin is going to be put out into the circulation. 21 million, another thing for everyone to remember, 21 million is the total amount of Bitcoin that will ever be minted, and we're already at 19 point something, okay? So think about it that way. Since 2009 till now, 19 point something, and it's only going to 21. So those are some of the few things, briefly, that I think are going to create a rise in price, rise in value with the Bitcoin. Okay, so Dan's saying that after bank bail-ins that people might run to Bitcoin. Dan, I agree, and here's the thing, I can't agree more with that, and that's why I'm sitting here in the studios here at 97.7 FM KCYP the city in McAllen. That's why I'm sitting here. That's why I'm doing this. And you touched on it. You hit it right on. You hit the nail on the head, Dan. But here's the problem with what you're saying. If the bank-ins force people into Bitcoin, how much will they have left after that bail-in? Not a good thing to pause on radio. And Joe, you would tell me that because you're the pro here. I'm not. But why I pause is I'm trying to help stimulate a little bit of thought here. What I'm trying to do is right now preemptory. It's a preventionist type of outlook. I'm trying to prevent any type of financial hardship in the lives of my friends and my family. So I speak out. And I do believe these things are going to happen. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because if they have a bail-in, you won't be able, possibly, depending on how much money you have, to get into Bitcoin. If the banks regulate in a huge way, the on-ramps and off-ramps from fiat to Bitcoin, you might not have the opportunity you have right now to get into Bitcoin. Zero is right. So what Dan's saying is you might have zero opportunity, you might have zero money if we wait. Now again, I'm not telling anyone you got to do these things. I'm not a financial advisor. What I'm trying to do is stimulate thought. Because when we start thinking about things and we start discussing things one to another, there the ideas start rolling. And that's why I'm telling people about the I guess you could call them influencers, the knowledgeable people that I've seen or listened to that seem to have some sort of grasp, like the Economic Ninja, Bitcoin Ben, Dave from X22 Report, okay, the Duran, and they're talking about geopolitical issues. These things are important to us because if these things occur, these negative things occur, these negative events occur, you're going to wish that you had prepared in some form or fashion your family for a downturn economically And a lot of other things can happen that I won't get into right now. But, maybe you ought to think about storing away some food. Maybe you ought to think about, storing, water in some containers or something and conditioning it so it doesn't go bad. Think about those things. Buy some MREs for the fam. Dehydrated food, whatever it is, whatever you think is best and the best fit for your family. That's all I'm trying to do here. So, if you'd like to pipe in on the phone, we've got the KCYP 97.7 FM station line 956-789-0702. 956-789-0702. Oh, just so you know, guys, there's a little delay on the Facebook Live comments, but hey, we're getting to them. We're doing pretty good on time. I won't go too much longer. I won't take up much more of your time, but I want to thank everybody watching. YouTube Live, Facebook Live, KCYP, the City 97.7 FM. So, what I want to get into right now is, as I mentioned just now, I consider, and it's actually a Bitcoin Otter PMA, Private Membership Association, is an association, a religious organization based in faith, and we are actually a 501c1a. I'm sorry. Sorry, I was jumping. Yeah, I jumped. 508, ladies and gents. 508. Very big difference there. We are a 508 1CA. 508 1CA. Nonprofit organization. Faith-based organization, okay? Why did I construct it that way? Because in a 508 format, okay, we do things that, we promote the gospel of Jesus. We do things along those lines. We give people hope if that's what they're looking for, okay? We try anyway. It's not always easy. But I'll get into the 508 versus 501 at a different time because this is important. I don't know exactly how much time we have left. The CDC says 20,000 people may have been exposed to measles at Ashbury University religious revival. Ladies and gents, I don't know if you've read about this, but there's a university called Ashbury, I believe it's in Kentucky. They have religious services, I think weekly, perhaps twice a week. I don't know. But they have a service in which they worship God, the God of the Bible. So at this service, I think this was weeks ago, maybe even a month, if you haven't heard of this. They had a phenomenon where some of the people did not leave the auditorium, the church, the worship center, whatever it was, wherever it is they have these services. They didn't leave. Some of them didn't leave. And then what happened was more people came in before the original service ended. And this went on for 24 hours. Wow. So people were there worshiping God, allowing the Holy Spirit to move them for 24 hours. It didn't stop. Young people, I call college students kids, because to me they're kids. And I'm sure professors. We're going in and out of this sanctuary, this worship center, for 24 hours. And then 24 became 48, 48 became a week, and then weeks became plural. So here they are in what is called a revival, where the Spirit of God wells up in a place, in certain people, and blesses them with the ability to worship Him for hours, days, and weeks. Now, I know they went out, ate, did their schoolwork, came back in, all that stuff. But there was a consistent flow, and I remember seeing the pictures of this. It was a packed auditorium, or whatever it is they call it. It was packed, ladies and gents. This thing was packed. Ernie, good to see you. Good to see you here, Ernie. So, this revival at this Ashbury College, University, whatever you want to call these thought camps nowadays. This one was different because God visited it. Apparently, I don't see that it's a lie. I haven't read anything that they were fooling. I don't know that anybody would want to do that kind of foolish stuff, fooling people and disinformation. for weeks. Well, the government does. But besides them, this revival was going on strong and got a lot of attention. So what the enemy of these kind of things, and let's face it, the enemy of God himself, what he wants to do is he wants to bring something that gives people hope and turn it into fear. So one of the instruments, and this is me speaking, this is not Joe, he's not in my jackpot, this is me. One of the instruments of our enemy, the devil, is called the CDC. Anyway, the CDC says that these people, they might get measles. You come together, you go to church, you might get measles. Think twice about doing that church thing because you might get measles, says the CDC. An estimated 20,000 people attended a large religious gathering in Kentucky on the same days as a resident who was infected with measles last month. What a coinkydink. There was a guy with measles and they had a revival. Only the CDC and its owners could come across with these things and conflate the two. So, with potential contacts who may have been exposed to the highly transmissible virus now spanning multiple states and countries. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of back in pandemic days when anytime someone would come together for either church or maybe a community meeting or a birthday party even, we were told that they were super spreader events. You go to a birthday party, you have your kids in the backyard with their friends playing around on the swing set or whatever. That's a super spreader event, right? Yeah. But you go to a political rally, okay? If it's Donald Trump, it's definitely a super spreader. But if it had anything of the leftist nature in it, it didn't matter because the agenda took precedence. And I know you all have in your mind memories of this stuff. Thank you, Dan. See, Dan's thinking. Dan is asking, so is the CDC going to track the participants? Wow. Ding, 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 ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, Dan. I don't think they'll announce it. This is my humble non-military intelligence or any type of intelligence analyst kind of guy. They certainly won't admit it. They certainly won't publicize it. But, that very well may be. I mean, think about it this way. We know that our phones are, monitored. Our emails are monitored. Or everything's monitored nowadays, right? We know this. And a great expression that I may or may not have said on this show before is that if you really do think and you really do behave and you really are an American patriot, and you're not on some type of watch list by now, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Because they're watching all of us who love America. They're watching all of us who stand for America. Now, I don't want to get anybody afraid or whatever, I'm not, nothing, untoward meant about that. But they're watching us. They tell us they're watching us. It's obvious they're watching us. But who cares? If we don't stand up for something, we'll fall for anything. Right? We have to stand up at sometimes, ladies and gents. This is the best country in the world. The founding documents were the purest and best foundation of any nation save the nation of Israel when God himself was leading them. This is the country, ladies and gents. This is the light on the hill. If it's extinguished, we're in trouble. Not only we, the world. We are the city on the hill. The United States of America is the greatest country in the world. And I don't demean or disparage in any way any other patriots. You live wherever you live. Be a patriot. Nation states are godly. They're biblical. They were created by God. Nation states are legitimate. One world government is of the devil. Make sure. And I know I sound like what was that thing with Saturday Night Live? The church lady. God wants nations. God wants a separation of powers. God wants, dare I say, decentralization. Of course, in faith matters, He is the center. But in matters of politics, in matters of power, in matters of money, decentralize that stuff. Because the way the human animal is, if we centralize it, you're going to have a few fat cats controlling it all across the board. And that's why they want global governance. That's why they want a one-world government. That's why they want centralization. That's why after 9/11, 9/11, right? That's why they centralized all the federal law enforcement agencies. They had to centralize power. They need to centralize banking. They need to centralize our freedoms. And eliminate them when they can. Nago, good to see you, Nago. So I get a good amen out of Rosselli. Thank you. I'm happy that my... it's not my message. It is not my message. It's just I'm happy that it resonates with some. If you have issue with what I say, or you want to comment on things that I'm saying, or you want to talk about a certain thing, please, bitcoinotter.media@gmail.com, or pop up here in the comments, or go ahead and give us a call. Okay, 956-789-0702. Here we are. I'm willing to discuss things. If you think I'm wrong, please say so. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to stand by what I say and give you the reasons why it is I think what I think and why I say what I say. Dan brings up social credit score and digital currency. They are entwined. There's no way that you can ever convince me that they're not intertwined. Corey, good to see you, Corey. Thanks for popping up today. So, what does he mean? What does Dan mean by social credit and the digital currency? So the CBDCs, central bank digital currency, which pretty much every major and even some minor I should say, it's not minor for those civilians or those citizens, countries are bantering about these digital currencies. So a lot of people think, oh, it's going to be like Bitcoin. No, Bitcoin is decentralized. Nobody controls it. The very opposite is true for central bank digital currencies. The central bank controls it. So when we bring into this equation the Chinese idea of social credit, it puts like what Trudeau did with locking people's assets for giving a couple bucks to the freedom truckers. It puts things like that into perspective, and it puts them to shame, because what central bank digital currencies will do is boost or decline your social credit based on what you do, what you say, who you associate with, what you tweet. A show like this, man, I'd have zero social credit in the minds of the fascists, the communists, which is great by me because I don't want to be in that crew. So what would happen to me, social credit-wise? Well, they'd shut down my ability to buy and sell. Ooh, wait a minute, Otter. Is that biblical? Wow, a one-world currency whereby if you don't follow the rules, you cannot buy or sell. Food for thought. Food for thought. So, this comes out of Zero Hedge. China blasts U.S. disinformation, absolute hypocrisy on Russia ties, vows retaliation for sanctions. So, if you haven't paid attention recently, things are heating up in Taiwan also, and we've discussed that. Taiwan is our next Ukraine. Is it going to be handled the same way by the usual suspects? I don't know. Are we going to have people on Twitter have little Chinese flags like they do with the Ukraine flags? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to roll out. But I do know that warmongers do what warmongers do. So Victoria Nuland, Bolton, Blinken, Biden, all these warmongers. You know, I don't care if you're Republican. I don't care if you're Democrat. If you're in Washington, D.C., calling for, more money, more troops, you're a warmonger. You don't want peace. You don't really care about the Ukrainian people that would benefit by peace. The money that we send there, well, not we, right? The royal we. The so-called representatives that we have that they send, these Republicans, these Democrats, they send, our money over to Ukraine, ostensibly to defend the citizens there. They don't care about the citizens. Who knows where that money's even going? Ukrainians are starving, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you want a little bit better insight into this whole thing than you will get sitting on the couch watching TV. Not a little bit, a lot better. Check out the Duran, Duran. Check them out. Really good analysis. And then believe it or not. Yes, Dan, the social credit score measures your loyalty to the government. Okay? Very Chinese, but you know what? Nowadays, how do we tell the difference between Chinese policy and American policy from this current batch of politicians? It's not always easy. Not always easy, right? So now China's saying, wait a minute. You're gonna try and whack us with sanctions the way you whacked Russia with sanctions? And just my opinion. And I'm gonna wrap it up with this, all right? My opinion is, if any sanctions are levied against China, it's only going to help them, just like it helped Russia. They were cut off the SWIFT transactional Western central banking system, and they made their own. Now they got one with China. They got one with the BRICS, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and more. They're flocking to these what they call the multipolar political world, as opposed to the unipolar political world of the U.S. and NATO. So people are flocking to this. And it's going to hurt the usual suspects in the end. That said, things are being noticed. Now, we're about out of time. We started a little late. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Okay? First of all, on the platform that gave this all birth, which is, first of all, God gave us our birth. And I thank our Lord Jesus Christ. But 97.7 FM, KCYP the City, managed, owned, and produced by Joe Martinez, is a great platform that allowed me to speak about these things. So, again, if you would like to help out, you can become a sponsor of not just my show, but your business, whatever. He has advertising 24/7, rolling. So we not only do that, we go out on YouTube, we go out on Facebook, we go out on Radio Garden and TuneIn Radio. So normally at 5-ish, right, Joe? 5-ish. Joe and I both have day jobs, so we don't always get the kickoff going right away, but we really appreciate the participation. We appreciate anything that you would give in way of thought to what it is we're doing here. Much appreciation. Ray, good to see you, Ray. We're about to close out, but this goes out, we tie a bow on it, and you can watch it from the beginning at any time. Like I said, I usually get over 100 some. I think our max was like 300 views, Joe, at one time. I can't remember how that all worked out, and we're getting more because I'm only counting the Facebook views. So again, if you're interested in any type of sponsorship, again, I'll mention your business on the show. Joe will give you a slot. We'll work all the numbers out. It's not expensive, guys. Seriously, it's really not expensive at all. We'll work it out, however you want to do it. But let us know. BitcoinOtter.media@gmail.com. Thank you very much. God bless you all. And thank you for participating. May God watch over our country. May God watch over our families. May God watch over us. And may we do our part in all of this, which is what this is all about. Thank you. God bless you. And have a great day.